Good morning, miss. So, yesterday, what did we discuss yesterday? What did we discuss yesterday, Sarda? Sarda, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
What did we discuss yesterday? Sarda, what happened? Did you attend yesterday's session? You had attended yesterday's session, right?
Yes, sir.
So, what did we discuss yesterday?
About performance testing, sir.
About performance testing. Okay, what did we discuss? We will discuss about performance testing only. But what exactly is that? We had discussed about scalability testing, volume, and failover testing, right?
Yes, sir.
And some graphs, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So today we'll discuss, what is the importance of performance testing. Okay. The next concept that I am going to cover is what is the importance of performance testing, and what are the prerequisites for doing performance testing. Yeah. So what is the importance and what are the prerequisites for doing performance testing? So if your website performance is not good, right? So most users move away to other websites. So imagine this situation. So you want to buy an order, you want to buy a product on Amazon. Let's say you want to buy a product on Amazon. So you went to Amazon and you searched for some product, right? You had searched for some product, right? And then let's say you added to cart and you made the payment, right? You did checkout and made the payment, right? So till now page is working, till now website worked fine. Now imagine if once immediately after making the payment, if you are not getting a confirmation message, let's say there is a sale and you got a very good offer. You bought it at a very good deal, right? You made the payment, amount got debited from your account, but you are not getting a confirmation message, right? And the sale is going to end soon, or the stock is going to end soon, right? And you don't know whether order is placed or not. Order confirmation because you did not get any order confirmation, isn't it? Now, if you face similar kind of situation, so next time when you want to buy, you understood, right? You bought a product, you placed an order, and you bought a product, you made payment for 70,000. Amount got debited from your account, right? But you are not getting a confirmation page after making payment. Now, next time when you want to buy any product, will you go to Amazon again? If this happens on Amazon. Next time when you want to buy any product online, will you prefer Amazon again? Right?
No.
So because like you made payment, but you are not getting a confirmation message, isn't it? You don't know whether to make it again or not, right? Or whether you get refund or not. You will get that previous amount refunded or not, isn't it? So now what happens now? Most of the users move away to other websites. If response time is more than 3 to 5 seconds, means if you are not getting any response in 3 to 5 seconds, then most of the users move away to other websites or other competitors, right? Now, in this case, what happens? You may leave Amazon and you may go to Flipkart. Now, Amazon loses business. Not only that, that business will go to the competitor, their competitor, isn't it? So once a customer is lost, it's very difficult to get back that customer, isn't it? So there will be 4 to 5 billion business revenue loss due to poor web application performance, and inadequate performance can adversely impact the revenue by up to 10%, it seems. Okay. Inadequate web application performance can adversely impact. What is the meaning of adverse impact? What is the meaning of the word adverse? Yes? Anyone? Should be knowing that, right? What is the meaning of adverse impact? Adverse means bad impact, right? Adverse means having a bad, negative impact or a bad impact, isn't it? Right. So it will have adverse. So inadequate web application performance can badly impact the revenue of a business by up to 10%. Right? And business performance begins to suffer at 5 seconds of delay in web application response time and 4 seconds for critical applications. Now, can you tell me some websites where you completely abandoned them, where you completely left them because you are not happy with the performance or because website is not working properly? Whenever you are trying to place an order or buying something or try to access something, do you have any such experiences? Or any websites, that you got irritated with?
A government website sometimes.
Government websites. Okay. Yes. Government websites, but we can't do anything. We have to use those only. Right? Yeah. Anything else? Any other experience? So I'll tell you some example in my experience. Okay. I mean, couple of years before, my salary account used to be with Axis Bank. Okay. And Axis Bank, we used to face a strange issue with Axis Bank. Whenever we want to do some fund transfer, suppose we enter some amount and we hit submit and we'll get an OTP, right? We are supposed to get an OTP and that OTP will expire in half minute. Axis Bank OTP expires in half minute. But 50% of the times, OTP will not come. It will come after 1 minute. But by the time we receive OTP, the OTP will expire. Again, we need to reinitiate or we need to resend OTP, right? So after getting irritated with, so many times, I had closed my salary account from Axis Bank, in Axis Bank, and I had moved to some other bank, right? And after that also, when I changed my job, if HR people say like, every company will maintain like salaries with 2 to 3 banks, right? Whenever they say Axis Bank, I said, no, a big no. No, I don't want Axis Bank, right? So now once any business that applies to any business, once a business loses customer, right? It's very difficult to get them back, isn't it? And then any additional second of waiting on a website significantly impacts the customer satisfaction and visitor conversion. Any additional second of waiting on a website significantly impacts the customer satisfaction and visitor conversions. What is meant by a visitor? What is meant by visitor conversion? So, right. So suppose sometimes you visit some websites, but you may not be creating an account, right? So you attended some demo sessions, but you may not be joining the training there, right? So you are just, you are a visitor there. If you like it and if you get confidence on that, you will create an account in the case of online applications. Or if you like the, if you like the training and if you like the, if you get confidence on the training, then only you'll enroll, right? So that is called as visitor conversion. If a visitor gets converted to an user, right, or creates an account or starts using the application, right? So that is called as visitor conversion. Clear? So any additional second of waiting on a website significantly impacts customer satisfaction and visitor conversions, right? And then page viewers conversion rate and customer satisfaction drops 11, 7 and 16% respectively. So, please understand that, you need not remember all these, but the important points are highlighted in a bold or in a different color in every slide. Okay. And even, I will share this training content to you as a Word document. So even there also, you will have that highlighting done. Okay. Let me show you that. So this is the performance testing fundamentals Word document. This is performance testing fundamentals Word document. Okay. And now you will have all this training content like this. So even here also, like, let me check that importance of, performance testing. Or let me search for visitor conversion. Oh, okay. I think I missed it. Visitor, am I right? Conversion, yeah. Okay, I think I missed that slide. So I'll add that content. Okay, I'll add that content or else, I had added only important content. This is latest version. I think I had added only important content into the Word document. Okay, so now if you move to the next slide, these are the visitor bounce rates. Means what does that mean? if the response time is within 4 seconds, right? If the response time is within 4 seconds, that that user will continue using the website. But if response times is more than 10 seconds, 4 seconds, 24% of the users leave the website. See, green means that user continues to use the website. But if the response time is 4 to 5 seconds, 24% of the users will leave the website, it seems. If it is more than 5 seconds, observe here how the visitors are bouncing. Our visitors don't convert into regular users, right? That is what this diagram tells, right? So this is as per a research done by Pingdom, by a web organization called Pingdom. Okay. So again, this is also not so important, but this speaks about what is the importance of performance testing. And nowadays, any website, users accept response times up to 5 seconds. Okay. If any website is having more than 5 seconds response time, users may not continue with that particular website. Okay. And then what are the prerequisites for doing performance testing? Okay. What are the prerequisites? If you want to do performance testing, what are the prerequisites? What are the requirements, right? So first and foremost is a stable build with no major functional defects, right? So freshers may not be able to understand this, but like we will revisit this again and again during the course of the training, right? So first requirement for to do performance testing is we should have a stable code or stable build, right? The code should be stable with no major functional defects, with no major functional defects, right? What is the meaning of it? Did we discuss, like 1 second, did we discuss critical business flows for the applications? I think we are done, right?
Yes, sir.
See, these are the critical business flows for some applications that we discussed, right? If you take a net banking application example, these are the critical business flows, important business flows. Out of all these, again, which is less important? Out of all these 9, which one is less important, or which one will be, will not be done frequently? Which page will not be visited very frequently by the users?
Help page.
Huh?
Help page contact.
What is that?
Help page.
Help page. Yeah. Help page. Yeah. A support page, shall I
Support.
support ticket, right? So that, we do it only when we have some issues, right? So that, that is less important. That is important, but that is less important, right? And now profile update also we'll do it once in a while, isn't it? Right? So suppose if an application, if you want to do performance testing, first, all the critical business flows should be working fine. For example, for a net banking application, fund transfer is a critical business flow, right? Yes, sir. Fund transfer, bill payment, credit card payment, these are important, right? Yes, sir. Utility bill payment and credit card payment, these are, we will have some deadline, we will have some last date, isn't it? So fund transfer is urgent, you need to pay someone some amount, and if the fund transfer is not working, suppose if a fund transfer is not working for a net banking application, there is no point in doing performance testing, right? What is performance testing? We do performance testing with the target user load of the application. Suppose 5,000, so let's say 5 lakh users. Let's say net banking application is having some 5 lakh user load. Okay, we do performance testing with 5 lakh user load. But if fund transfer is not working, fund transfer is the major functionality, right? For any net banking application. So if fund transfer is not working, there is no point in doing performance testing for that, right? Understood or no, Archana? There is a net. What is a net banking application you have? Are you using any net banking application? Which one is that? Canara Bank. Okay, I'm not asking your credentials, right? So I'm asking which bank are you using? Canara Bank. Okay. Canara Bank is opposite to your house, right? Okay. Okay. Right. So now, what do you mostly use for? What do you use that the net banking mostly for? What payment? What kind of payment? Bill payment, mobile bill payment, right? Okay. Any payment, right? So that is one important business flow, right? That is one, our fund transfer, our bill payment. These are the important business flows. Suppose that important functionality is not working, then there is no point of doing performance testing for that application, right? Yes or no? So there should not be such major functional defects. That is what it means. Stable build with no major functional defects. The major functionality should be working fine. Understood, guys? And next, clear or no? You want me to explain again? Okay. And then performance, next one is performance testing environment should be identical to production environment. What is meant by environment here? What is meant by an environment? Environment means we discussed, we had already discussed.
For testing, there is
Environment
one
means,
environment, sir. For dev, there is one environment. For testing, one environment. And for production,
right,
there is another environment.
right. So basically environment means one or more than one computers on which your application is running, right? Environment means here, environment in software, right? So in software, environment means one or more than one computers, one or more than one computer on which the application is running, See, we have dev environment, did we discuss this? On which the application is running. When we discuss testing life cycle, we had discussed this. Yes or no? When we are discussing testing life cycle, we discussed about different environments, right? Dev environment, SIT environment, and then QA environment.
Yes.
Completed those recorded sessions. Very good. Then
SIT? No.
SIT environment.
Yeah.
SIT environment. Okay. Don't read it as SIT, but it is SIT. We should read it as SIT.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the different environments, right? Now, performance testing will have a dedicated environment. First of all, we will have a separate environment. So, and it will be identical to production. It should be identical to production. What is the meaning of that? Identical to production means, suppose this is your, let's say, I'll show you an architecture diagram. Let us say this is your big basket. Let's assume that this is a big basket website architecture. Okay, big basket application, web application architecture. Let's assume. So this is a typical web application architecture. There will be thousands of users who will be accessing the application, right? And it will have some web server, app server, DB server. Any web application, not only big basket is. Any web application will have similar architecture. Okay. And what are the different components in that? You have a load balancer, you have a web server, app server, and DB server. Okay. What is web server? What is app server? We will discuss it. What is a DB server? We will discuss it later. Okay. But any environment will have a web server, app server, DB server. And observe here, there are 3 web servers here. There are 4 application servers, and there are 3 database servers. Clear? In this architecture, you have 3 web servers, 4 app servers, 3 DB servers. Why? Why do we require more than one web server? Right. If one server fails, there should be another server to take the workload, right? Or else, if the server capacity is not sufficient, right, then also we'll require more than one server, right? Suppose you go to a DMart or a McDonald's, right? A DMart you will not go obviously, but you will go to McDonald's, right? Now we'll have multiple counters, right? We'll have multiple cash counters, isn't it? So depending on the customer load, right? Customer footfalls, isn't it? So by the way, McDonald's is opening one restaurant here in Amirpet metro station. Okay. So enduku cheptunnanante beside that that McDonald's, we have our board actually. That is why I'm saying. Okay. If you go to McDonald's, see our board. Okay. Have a look at our board. All right. So once the restaurant is opened, like we'll have more footfalls. We'll get more publicity. I'm waiting for that eagerly because I am paying 50,000 for that board per month. All right. So that side, it will be on that side, institute side. Did you see that? You saw that board? Our board? Huh? You saw it already? Okay. All right. So now coming back to this. So any application will have, web server, app server, DB server, right? So suppose this is your production architecture, means production environment. You know what is meant by production environment, right? What is meant by production environment? Let me ask, selected people. Supraja, what is meant by production environment? Supraja, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
What is meant by production environment?
So real-time using?
Right. So live environment which is used by real-time users, right? The end users, isn't it? Live environment used by end users like you and me, right? End users like you and me. For examples, tell me some websites that you regularly use apart from Instagram. Some websites that you regularly use apart from Instagram. WhatsApp, okay.
WhatsApp.
Google, okay, right? So Google and are you not using ChatGPT? Start using it, right? So if you are not using, please start using it. Okay, ChatGPT, right? Next, BigBasket, bigbasket.com, or IRCTC, or Redbus, isn't it? You don't use Redbus? Redbus is also very popular, right? Redbus.in, right? So these are called as live environments or production environments. Okay. Now, if you want to do performance testing for any of these any application, you will not do in the production, but you will have a dedicated environment. We'll have a test environment. We'll have a test environment, and that is special for us, for performance testing team. No one will be should be using that environment. Okay. We have exclusive rights on that that environment. So that environment should be, the test environment should be identical to production. What is the meaning of it? The test environment should be identical to production environment. Means production environment lo any servers aithe unnayo, our test environment also should be having those many servers. I think there are some non-Telugu people, right? So, right, Sumit, can you understand Telugu, Sumit? I think I see only Sumit here. Sumit, are you with us? Guys, I am not getting immediate response from online folks. Be ready to turn on your camera from tomorrow onwards, or take your fees refund. Okay. So I'm not getting proper response from online participants. If you already paid fees, take your fees refund, and you can leave the batch. Okay. Sumit, are you with us? Once you join the training, if you want to go away for a couple of minutes, ping in the Zoom chat. Just say be right back, or you'll be back in 5 minutes or something like that. Right? But I will ask randomly. If you are not responding, I'll move to the waiting room. I'll move you to the waiting room. I think Sumit is not there in front of his system. I can't accept this. Okay. I am fine if you leave the training also. I am okay with that. I don't bother. So if you are having some audio issues, ping it in the, type it in the Zoom chat. If you are facing some audio issues, right? But if you are, joining the meeting, but if you are not responding, I can't allow that. Sorry. Okay. Now the test environment should be identical to production environment. Means whatever, how many servers are there in the production environment, they should be those many servers. Whatever settings are there in the production environment, the same setting should be there in the test environment also. It should be an exact replica of production. Then only we'll get accurate results. Clear, guys? Now, right. Now, what is the next requirement? To ensure consistent results. Performance testing environment should be isolated from other environments, such as UAT or development. Means no other team should be using our environment. Particularly when you are doing performance testing, no other team member should be using it, right? No other testing while doing performance test executions. No other testing should be done while doing performance test executions. And then obviously we need to do performance testing before the application go live. Before the application go live, then we have to do performance testing. And then also another requirement, important requirement is we need to have a comprehensive understanding and knowledge of the application. If you want to do performance testing for any application, we need to have a comprehensive understanding or knowledge of the application. Understood, guys? We need to have a comprehensive understanding or knowledge of the application. So these are the prerequisites for doing performance testing. Now, once you join a project tomorrow, once you get a job and once you join a project, right? So how will you get the application knowledge? Yes. So client will give you an application walkthrough. Before you start working on the project, right? Client will give you an application walkthrough. Application walkthrough. What does that mean? Client will explain you, client will conduct some demos, some KD sessions. And in those KD sessions, they will explain what is their application, what does it do, right? What are the critical business flows? What is the target user load? On which servers the application is running? They'll give that complete KT to you, right? So you should not, miss those KT sessions, or, like you can ask them to record the sessions and share it to you. Okay. There is nothing wrong, because, when you are hearing for the first time, you may not be able to assimilate all the concepts. You may not be able to remember all the concepts, all the things, right? All the details, isn't it? So you can ask them, to record and share those recorded sessions. Okay. But you should have a complete understanding of the application, comprehensive understanding and knowledge of the application. You may not be able to understand some concepts in the first time when you hear them, right? But like you can go through the recorded sessions after that. And that is also, that is another reason why we are sharing the recorded sessions, right? But that is backfiring on us. We know that, some people are misusing it, and we are that is backfiring on us. Okay. From anyways, we'll share the recorded sessions till this year end only. From next year, we'll stop sharing the recorded sessions also. Okay. All right. So to do performance testing for any application, you need to have a comprehensive understanding and knowledge of the application. Clear, guys? Now, these are the prerequisites for doing performance testing. Very important interview question. Okay. What is the, what are the expected, what are the questions that you can expect on this concept? What are the prerequisites? Prerequisites are requirements, right? For doing performance testing. Okay, what are the prerequisites? Sorry, what are the prerequisites for doing performance testing? One of the important interview question in interview FAQ. Okay, now let us move to the next slide. Any queries, guys, before we move to the next slide? Any queries? No queries? Okay, let's move to the next slide. I'll skip this one, waterfall and agile model, not important at this moment. Now let us understand the application architecture. Just now I had mentioned that, this is a web application architecture, right? First of all, let us understand what is meant by architecture diagram. What is meant by application architecture? What is meant by application architecture? So architecture means it is a pictorial representation of the application's components. It is a pictorial representation of a application's components. Suppose you have a web application and it will be running, it will be having multiple components like web server, app server, DB server, etc. Right? And the software and connections between those servers. Connections means connections between those servers. So your architecture diagram help us to understand how these servers interact with each other to meet the business or user requirements. Okay, you'll get a clear understanding soon. So I'll go to the diagram, architecture diagram. Okay, let me go to the architecture diagram. And first let us understand, this architecture diagram. Okay, suppose see, this represents the users who are accessing the application from different browsers, right? So which browser do you mostly use? Google Chrome. Google Chrome, right? Yeah, Chrome is the browser name, right? Which browser do you mostly use? Majority? Chrome only. Everyone use Chrome browser. Online folks,
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Chrome.
offline folks are saying Chrome browser. Which one do you use?
Chrome,
Chrome.
sir.
Oh, okay, excellent. Right. So now let's say you are accessing any application from your browser, your favorite browser, right? Um, there is a browser called Brave browser. Anyone heard that? Or does anyone use that Brave browser? Have you heard it? What is the specialty of that browser?
Yes.
Ads. It won't allow any ads to be displayed. When you visit some websites, you will get a lot of ads, right? So, but that Brave browser doesn't allow any ads to run. Okay, that is the specialty of that browser. Okay, all right. So if you visit any website which is having too many ads, you can visit that website in Brave browser. All right. So now let's say you are accessing any website. Now let's take Amazon or Instagram, or let us take Amazon. Okay, you type Amazon.in, isn't it? Or let us take ఇంకా frequent గా యూస్ చేసే అప్లికేషన్ తీసుకున్నాం. Let's say you are accessing gmail.com, right? I think 99.9% of the users are using Gmail only, right? So now let's say you're accessing Gmail, you type gmail.com, right? And every user, first time when you access Gmail, every user will get this page, right? Every user will get the same page. Or if you access IRCTC, every time you access IRCTC, this will be the page that you will get. Agree? This will be the, every user will get this page only. Yes or no? Or if you type, let's say, take some other applications, bigbasket.com, right? Every user will get this page only, isn't it? So see, sometimes they may change the images. After some time, they may change the images. Or, okay, bigbasket is not a right example actually, right? So I'll take some other example. Let's take ICICIbank.com. Every user will get the same page, right? Initially when they start. So these are called as static pages, or home page, or index page, isn't it? So these pages are called as static pages. Why are these called as static pages? The same page will be displayed for all the users. Those are called as static pages, isn't it? Right? So if you access Gmail, everyone will get the same page. But once you log into your account, will we get the same page? Will all the users get the same page once you log into your account, into your Gmail account? The content will be different, right? Content will be different, right? So those are dynamic pages. The content will be dynamic, will be changing. So those are dynamic pages. Now you understood what is static page and what is dynamic page. So static page means usually the home page will be static page. The same page will be displayed for every user, isn't it? Now, if your request is for a static page, your web server will have that static pages, and it will serve the request. If you are sending a request for a static page or home page, right? You send a request to the server. Now the request is for a static page. If the request is for static page, your web server will directly serve that request. The web server will send the response. Okay. Your request will not go to app server DB server, need not go to app server DB server. Okay. So all the static pages will be served by, what does this web server does? All the static pages will be served by this web server. Okay. All the static pages will be served by web server itself. Now let's say, done. You got the home page, and then, you log into your Gmail. Let's say, for example, again, I'll go back to those. Or else, you got the home page of IRCTC. Now, if you are searching for trains between two cities, let's say you are trying to search between two cities. Okay, I think it will not allow us to, unless until we log in, it won't allow us to, search, I think, isn't it? But I don't remember the password. Let me try. If not, I will, if I couldn't log in, I will take some other example. Okay. Okay. So let us go to trains page and let us search for trains. Why is this okay? Oh, something went wrong. Okay. Let us take some other example. Okay. So I'll clear this once. So this is a static page, and if you are sending a request for Gmail index page or home page, that will be served by web server, because this is a static page and static pages will be served by web server directly. Now, once you log into your account, suppose you log into your account, right? And if I log in, it will display my inbox. If you log in, it will display your inbox, right? So this content will be different, right? And also, even if the same user, suppose if I log in today, it will show my inbox today. If I log in tomorrow, it will display that latest emails, always displays the latest emails. So this is dynamic content, right? This is not static page. These are not static pages, isn't it? So similarly, even if you take IRCTC example also, suppose you search for trains between Hyderabad to Bangalore, it will display different trains. If you search for trains between Bangalore to Hyderabad, the trains will be different, right? The content will be different, isn't it? So those are dynamic pages, isn't it? And now these dynamic pages, if your request is for a dynamic page, your web server will not be able to serve that request. What does it do is it will forward the request to application server. If you are sending a request for a dynamic page, right? So that request will be forwarded to app server. Okay. The request will be forwarded to app server. Now, if you take IRCTC example, all the train details will be stored in some database server, right? You know that what is a database server, right? Database server is where all the application data will be stored, isn't it? Now, if you are searching for, let's say you are searching for buses, trains between Hyderabad to Bangalore. Now, there will be some query, running in the background. 1 second. Suppose you are searching for trains between Hyderabad to Bangalore, let's say. Right? So let us assume that it is a Java application. Let's assume that IRCTC is a Java application. Okay. So, and in Java application, the code will be written in classes, Java classes, right? There will be, I mean, each unit of code is called as a class in Java. Okay. Now, there will be some code like this. There will be some, when you search for trains between Hyderabad to Bangalore, there will be some SQL query like this. Select star from trains table. Let's assume that all your data is stored in a table called trains table. Okay. So a query will be written like this. Select star from trains table where source is equal to Hyderabad and destination is equal to. Query may not be exactly the same, but I'm just giving an example. Okay. That's it. Any other details required for getting the train details? Do we need to enter? No, I want to search for trains between two cities. So what are the other details that are required? Enough? You don't need to enter departure date, right? And departure date is equal to, right? Departure date is equal to, right? Let's say, you are searching for tomorrow's trains, 20/06/2025. Okay. There will be some SQL query running like this, and this query will be running on the application server. Basically, your application logic will be running on this application server. Your Java code or .NET code. If it is a Java application, the Java code will be running on that application server. Or if it is a .NET application or a Python application, that code will be running on application server. That is why this layer is called as logic tier. Logic tier or application layer. Okay. All your application logic will be running on this application server. Okay. So when you search for trains between two cities, your web server cannot serve that request directly by itself. It will forward the request to application server. Now app server can process the request, but the data will be stored in database server, right? All the data, all the trains details will be stored in database server. So your application server will forward the request to database server. It will forward the request to database server. So first your request will go to, from browser, it will go to web server. Web server will send forward the request to app server when you are searching between for trains between two cities, and your application server will send that request to database server. Now database server will forward it will send the results. It will send the data to app server. App server forwards the response to web server, and web server will finally show the response to the user. Clear? So this is what happens when you search for trains between two cities, or when you search for buses between two cities on a APSRTC online application. See, this architecture is applicable for any web application, whether it is APSRTC or TSRTC or KSRTC, but the application architecture will be same. You'll have web server, you'll have app server, you'll have database server. Clear, guys? This is a typical web application architecture. Read the notes here below that, right? Most common architecture widely deployed and primarily designed for HTML web browsers. This is designed for primarily for HTML web browsers, right? Not mobile apps. So this is a web application architecture, typical web application architecture. You take IRCTC or you take APSRTC online.in or you take KSRTC or TSRTC or Orange Travels or any other website. So it contains this web server, app server, DB server. Clear, guys? And that is how those websites work. Clear, everyone? Any queries? Now, you remember this web server is also called as presentation tier, because whatever we see in the browser will be displayed by presentation layer only or web server only. That is why that server is called as presentation layer or presentation tier. This should be pronounced as tier. Okay. This should be this TIER should be pronounced as tier, not tier. Okay. So, and then your application logic will be running on this application tier or logic tier. And then all your data, all the application data will be residing in your database layer. That is called as persistence tier. Why is it called as persistence? Means it stores your data. Persist means storing something. So database server will store the data. That's why this is called as persistence tier. Clear, guys, everyone? And now in between the servers, there is another component called, what is that?
Load
Load
balancer.
balancer. What is that? What is the job of that load balancer?
Distributing the request to every server equally.
Right. So what is the job of load balancer? When thousands of users are accessing the application, thousands of requests or lakhs of requests are coming to the application, it will distribute that user load equally among all the servers, or it will balance the user load, right? It will distribute the user load between all the servers so that the request can be processed faster. Clear, guys? So that is what a load balancer does. Okay. So this is a typical web application architecture. Any queries? I heard someone trying to ask something.
Yes, sir. I have one query regarding the failover testing. So we do failover testing on the app server, right? We will down one app server and then we'll check app
No,
failover.
it need not be app server. See, it can be any server.
Okay.
Failover testing can be done, will be done on the whole application, entire application.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to do failover, see, assume that this is your main environment. If you assume that this is your main environment, and there is a backup environment will not be having these many servers. Maybe backup environment will be having only one web server, two app servers, and one DB server, right? Because it will be of lower capacity, isn't it?
Correct.
Right. So if you want to do failover testing, we need to start the test and we need to shut down all the servers. Web server 1, 2, 3, app server 1, 2, 3, 4, and DB server 1, 2, 3. You need to shut down all the 10 servers. You understood?
Yeah, yes, sir. Get it. Yeah.
All right. Now let us understand this architecture in detail. What is the time now? Okay, I'll close it in 10 minutes. We started late, right? Bit late, right? Let me explain this slide also, and then we'll close the session for today. Now this web server, this presentation layer is made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. This presentation layer is made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now let me show you that. Okay. Let me show you that. Suppose, you take, let us take any website like Amazon. Okay, I'll take Amazon example, or else I am having it already here, right? So this is presentation layer, right? This is presentation layer. Presentation layer is nothing but whatever we are seeing in the browser, that is called as presentation layer. Now, if you see the code of this, source code of this, see the source code of this, Control U is the shortcut for that. I'll use that shortcut. Okay, somehow, yeah, now I got it. View page source, right? Control U is the shortcut for that. Now, if you see that code, this is the HTML code of that, that page, right? This is the source code of that page. And now you observe here, this page is developed using HTML, right? You have some HTML code, isn't it? Doc type HTML means document type HTML, means this is a HTML document, means, or this is HTML code, right? In HTML, we call this as tags. Those who are from computers background, you may be having this already, right? If not, just note it down. You need not learn HTML now. Okay, you need not learn HTML code. Don't worry, you need not write similar code. Okay, right? So, like now, performance testing is low coding or, did you read this? Low coding, no coding, and high package IT, right? So you need not learn that HTML code, or you need not write, see how many lines of code this page is having. See, there are thousands of lines, but we will not be writing any code, right? But we will get salaries equal to the developers. Wonderful, right? Okay. All right. So now this page is made up of HTML and then CSS. Let's see if there are any CSS files. Do you see some CSS files here? Let me zoom in. Okay. Do you see any CSS files here? There are some CSS files, isn't it? And JavaScript files. They will have extension .js. Do you see that there are some JavaScript files also? Isn't it? So any web application, front end, like typically is made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Clear, guys? So this presentation layer is made up of this, that is what I had, this slide tells us. Presentation layer is made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Clear? Yes or no? Now, what is the purpose of, HTML? What is the purpose of CSS? What is the purpose of JavaScript? We need to understand it. These are all computer fundamentals. These are all, whether you are into any testing, right? You should understand, you should have a clear understanding of this, right? So now, whether you are into, any testing, whether it is a manual or automation or performance security, right? So we should know these basic concepts. These are all basics. Clear, guys? Now, this presentation layer is made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What does that HTML stand for, Pravalika?
Hypertext markup language.
Okay. So hypertext markup language. Okay. Hypertext markup language. Those who are from non-computers background, please remember this. This is for you. I am explaining this for you only. Okay. And now, what is CSS? The next component is CSS. CSS stands for cascading style sheets. Okay. And then JS stands for JavaScript. Now, what is the purpose of each one of this? Let us understand that. So this, suppose if you take Amazon page, there is a search button here. There is a search button here, and there is a text box here. All that code will be written using HTML, isn't it? This code will be written using HTML. Now, what does CSS does? What is the purpose of CSS then? So, see, observe here. Every time you go to Amazon, this cart symbol will be always on the top right. Amazon logo will be always on the top left. And this text box will be always, search box will be on the middle and top center, isn't it? So this is called as layout. That layout will be defined in CSS file. Which component should be developed at what position, which color, which background color, right? All that, that layout will be defined in that CSS file. Clear? The page layout it contains, the CSS file contains page layout. Clear this? Sorry. So this is used to define layout of the page. Understood what is meant by layout? What is meant by layout? positioning of the elements, HTML elements, positioning of each HTML elements. What is meant by HTML element, by the way? What is meant by HTML elements? You need to, these are again basics, guys. Okay. So if you see a radio button or a checkbox or a text box, right? Or, anything else? Scroll bar, right? Next. ఇంకేముంటాయి? Login button, login or submit button, isn't it? Login button. So these are all, these are all HTML elements. These are called as HTML elements. Okay. Is it able to follow, guys? We are just discussing basics only. What is what? That's it, right? You need not learn how to develop a radio button or how to write a radio button or how to use a radio button, isn't it? But just know these basics. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of JavaScript now? And what is that? It will give us the output. Is it? Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me explain. Okay. Okay. So let me explain. So, suppose you take Gmail page. Okay. So here you are supposed to enter email or phone number, isn't it? We are supposed to enter email or phone number. So this is my mail ID. Let's say, this is my mail ID. perftest.kb@gmail.com. This is my mail ID. Okay. So I need to, if I enter correct email, if the my email ID is a valid email entered by me, then it will, what happens if I click next, what happens? It will ask for a password. It will prompt me to enter the password. But if you enter, even if you enter phone number also, it will ask for password if you enter a valid phone number. But if I enter something like this, then what happens? It will display some error message, right? It will display some error message saying that couldn't find your Google account, isn't it? Right? Or else, I'll take, so these are called as, see, now, once you enter this text, right, some junk values, this will not go to your server. This request will not go to the server, right? So when you go to this page, right, some JavaScript code will be loaded into your browser. And that JavaScript will validate that. The JavaScript will validate that. Okay. Or else I'll take another example. Okay. There is another demo application that will be used for, you will be using for scripting. So let me explain, this will be easy for you to understand. Okay. Suppose you want to create an account. You are supposed to enter the username here. What are these blue color, red color asterisk marks? What does that indicate? Those are mandatory fields, right? Those are mandatory fields, isn't it? So suppose I enter, I'm entering some username like this. Okay. perftest1234. Okay. And email is perftest1234, at gmail.com. So this is a valid one, isn't it? Ala kakunda, in spite of that, suppose you enter hash in gmail.com. What is it saying? Your email address is not formatted correctly, isn't it? So these are called as client-side validations, right? Means once you enter the mail ID here, your request will not go to this server. Your request will not go to the application, but this validation happens on the browser itself. Those client-side validations happens on the browser itself. See, when you are visiting, you might have created Naukri profile, right? When you are creating Naukri profile, you will have first name, last name. Suppose if you enter some number in the first name, will it accept it? It will immediately show an error message like this, isn't it? So these are called as client-side validations. Clear, guys? And this client-side validations will be done by that JavaScript. Of course, it has other purpose also, but important purpose of JavaScript is to do client-side validations. What is meant by client-side validations? Means browser side. Client side is nothing but browser side validation. Means that validation happens on the browser itself. Your request need not go to the server. That validation happens on the browser itself. Then there and then it will display that error message. If there is if you enter some invalid data, it will display that error message immediately. All right. So this is called as client-side validation, and that code will be written in that JavaScript. You remember, like when I had shown Amazon page, there are some JavaScript files, right? All those validations will be written in those JavaScript files. When you go to this Amazon page, that CSS, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be loaded to your browser. Okay, and once you enter, suppose if you enter some invalid, you are entering some wrong product like this, it will say that it will say, what is it saying? Oh, of course, this is sorry, this is not a right example. Sorry.
So we use
Okay, it is displaying some products. Okay, leave it. So I'll go back to that. That advantage online shopping application, right? So if you enter some, or if you don't enter some fields, if you don't enter some values, also what is it saying? Password field is required. So these are called as browser side validations. Okay, even if you don't enter any value, also it is validating and showing that password field is required. So these are called as client-side validations, and that code will be written in the JavaScript files. So this is the purpose of these three components: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Clear, guys? And now coming to logic layer. So logic layer will be developed using Java or .NET or Python or PHP, any programming language like Java, .NET or Python or PHP. Don't worry, you need not learn any of those languages. Don't worry, but just you need to know the basic concepts. Okay, and then your database layer will be made up of any of these databases like either MySQL or Microsoft SQL or Oracle database or PostgreSQL, right? There can be any database. These are the different popular databases in the market, isn't it? So your database layer will be running on any of these databases. Clear, guys? So this is the, these are the internal details of that architecture diagram. And now we have web browsers as well as mobile browsers. Mobile web means nothing but mobile browser. You may be accessing Google from your mobile also, from mobile browser, isn't it? So there is one more layer got added here. So that is why this is called as N-tier architecture, right? So this is not important. What is N-tier not important, but we need to know what is presentation layer made up of, what is logic layer made up of, what is database layer made up of. Suppose you are asked to do performance testing for an application. You need to know whether it is a Java application or a .NET application or a PHP application, or if the application is developed using Python language. You need to know those details. And what is the database of that application? Whether the database is an Oracle database or Microsoft SQL or MySQL, you need to know those, right? But alagani, you need not learn those languages, or you need not be strong, or you need not have expertise on those databases. Okay, some basic knowledge is required, and that is what we are discussing. So I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. So these fundamental sessions will go for the next 1 week. For the next 1 week, we will continue with these fundamental sessions only, right? And then we'll start scripting from most probably from end of next week. We will be starting scripting. Okay, maybe start Friday or Thursday or Friday. I'll make you install JMeter on your machine, and then we'll start scripting from 30th June. We'll start actual scripting from 30th June, right? So then from 30th June, like, you'll enjoy the scripting. Okay. Till now, it will be bit boring. Is it boring? Theory part will be bit boring. Is it boring or is it interesting? Archana? Seriously. Okay. We'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. So, till then I will be taking, I will not cross 1 hour. I want to limit the session timings to 1 hour till then, till we start scripting. But once we start scripting, if you are picking up fast, I will take 1.5 hour session. Otherwise, I will take 1 hour only. Don't worry. Okay. What did we discuss today? Importance and prerequisites of performance testing, isn't it? Performance testing. Next, architecture diagram, right? Architecture or architecture diagram. And then HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? So these are the concepts that we discussed today. So Anyone feeling any difficulty? If you tell me correctly, then I can suggest you some YouTube videos. Anyone feeling any difficulty? Achana is feeling sleepy. Okay. So I'll stop it here for today, guys. We'll continue tomorrow. Yeah. Any queries, guys, before we close today's session?
Yes, Pawan.
Any queries, Balaji?
Yes, Pawan. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Regarding load balancer,
Hmm.
how does the load balancer decide which server if we will send request, na?
Hmm.
How
So
load
load
balancer
balancer,
decide?
each load balancer will, I mean, there are different load balancer algorithms. Okay.
Yeah,
There are different load
yeah.
balancer algorithms. It depends on what algorithm the load balancer is using. See, for
Yeah,
example,
I have
default
heard
one is,
that.
I mean, basic one is round robin. What is round robin? First request will be sent to first server. Second request will be sent to second server. Third request will be sent to third server. That is round robin, right? And there is, but mostly used algorithm is this one, least connection. Okay. That means your load balancer, once a load balancer receives a request, it will see which server is having less number of connections or which server is having less number of requests. It will send that request to that server. Okay, we'll discuss all this later. Okay. So I don't want to, go further deep into those because, like we have some freshers, right?
Okay.
So they will stop attending if you discuss, these concepts now. So we'll discuss all this. Okay. Don't worry. You will get 90% of the interview questions from our training only. 90%, more than 90%. Okay. That means I will cover 90% of the concepts I can cover. Okay. 10%, depends on the interviewer, depends on the organization, right? So above 90%, will be covered in the training. So we'll discuss later. Okay. It's too early to discuss how does load balancer decides that. So we'll discuss it later. Any other queries, on the concepts that we discussed today? All right. So if you don't have any queries, I'll stop it here for today. So will you be ready to turn on your camera from tomorrow? Online folks? Because I'm not getting prompt response. I'm not sure, I want to make sure that, all of you are in front of your system and, watching the session, but not watching your mobile. Right?
Yes,
Okay. So be ready, guys. Be ready to turn on your camera because, this is not an early morning batch, but make sure that, you are properly dressed and proper, your background is, proper.